Hi, friends. I'm so glad that you have joined me for the first day of Sunday school for fall 2020. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about Jesus's power. And you'll see right on the screen that I have listed some materials that you'll need for Sunday school today. And actually for the next 3 weeks, you'll need the same things each time you log on. So if you don't already have those materials, now would be a good time to pause the video and go and get them. Paper, something to draw with, and some building materials such as either Legos or some Play-Doh. And we're going to need those a little bit later on in the lesson. So why don't you pause the video now and go get those if you don't already have them. Okay, well, now that you have all your materials that you need, we are ready to get started. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about, as I said, Jesus's power and how we can learn that Jesus can give us the courage to help us through any situation. We can ask Jesus to give us courage anytime we are afraid. You know, a lot of people are fearful right now with the coronavirus that's going around, but Jesus's power can give us courage to calm our fears. So let's start today by listening to a song that's about Jesus's power.
My God is powerful. He stands
Okay, let's talk more about fears. What scares you right now? Well, I can tell you something that scares me. You know how with the coronavirus, a lot of people have the virus, but they don't have any symptoms, so they really don't know that they have it. And so that's what scares me, is that I could have it and not even know it. And then, not knowing I had it, I could give it to someone that I love and care about. And so I'm afraid to spend a lot of time around my parents. You know, my parents are older. They're probably the same age as most of your grandparents. So that's why I'm afraid to be around them right now, because even though I seem perfectly healthy and don't have any symptoms, we've known that you could have the coronavirus without even knowing it. So if you're with somebody else right now watching this video, why don't you pause the video for just a moment and talk with your family and or whoever you're watching it with, and discuss what it is that you're afraid of right now. Well, you know, being scared isn't something new. It happened in the Bible too. Remember how I said we were going to talk about Jesus's power? Well, here's a skit that two of our Sunday school classmates did, Bennett and Holden. And this is a skit that describes an eyewitness account of seeing Jesus perform one of his miracles. So let's watch.
Hello friends, this is John Cameron for Eyewitness News, coming to you live from Seaside, where witnesses say they saw something truly fantastic. I'm here standing with one of those witnesses now. Excuse me, sir, did you see what happened? Yeah, I did. I was just tying off my boat, getting ready to bring my catch in for the night, when all of a sudden this storm commenced to swallowing and all the waves. A terrible storm hit the sea? Oh yeah, it was intense. There were waves and wind and lightning, and it felt like it was coming in sideways. My wife came out of the house and I said, "Get back inside, Ethel." But it was too late. The rain and wind knocked her sideways and she fell right into a mud hole. About that time I saw a boat rocking on the waves. Another boat? Yeah, there were a whole bunch of people on it. I figure maybe a dozen, right? And they were so scared and afraid of this storm here, you see. I see. I hear them screaming, "We're gonna die! We're gonna drown!" But Master, don't you care? Master? Who is the master? I wasn't too sure at first, but this other fellow, I think he may be number 13, stood up on the boat, rubbed the sleep out of his eyes, and he said, "Y'all be quiet now." These were his exact words? Well, maybe not exact, but that's when all the craziest of things happened. That fellow said to be quiet, and the storm just went away. And all the rain and wind and the waves, they was just gone. The storm went away just because he said to be quiet? It sure did. Can you tell us who this man was? I wasn't too sure myself, but then I came to find out his name was Jesus. Some folks say he's a carpenter's boy from down in Nazareth, but others say something else. And who do they say he is? They say he's the Son of God. Is it possible, friends? Is the Son of God here on earth and he can calm storms? Are you asking me or are you asking them? That question was for the audience. We will continue to follow the story as it develops. This is John Cameron reporting live. So long!
Okay, now let's listen to the Bible story of the event that we just heard described for us in the skit. Let's see how Jesus's power calms the fears of people who were very scared. This story is found in the Bible in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. Now, as I read the story, I'm going to need your help. So, there's some special words in the story that whenever I say those words, there's something that you need to do, an action. So let's practice it before we get started. Now, every time I say one of these words, you'll do the action that is indicated. All right, the first word is boat. Whenever you hear me say the word boat, I want you to say creek and pretend that you're pulling hard on oars rowing a boat, okay? So creek. All right, the next one is disciples. Anytime you hear the word disciples, count to 12 really fast, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, the next word is wind. If you hear the word wind, cup your hands around your mouth and blow. All right, and the next word is waves. You hear the word waves, put your hands side by side and make waves in front of you. All right, and the last word is Jesus. Whenever I say the word Jesus, point up to the sky and say, Christ the Lord. Okay, so I'm going to leave these instructions up on the screen as I get ready to read the story, and you can say the words along with me. All right. I'll pause whenever I say a word and give you time to do the things too. And I'll try to do them along with you. All right, is everybody ready? Let's listen to the story of Jesus calms the storm. The disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, were just exhausted. All day, crowds and crowds of people had been following Jesus, Christ the Lord, listening as he taught and watching as he healed sick people. The sun was beginning to set over the Sea of Galilee. Seeing how tired his disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, were, Jesus, Christ the Lord, said, let's get in a boat, creek, and go over to the other side of the lake. It would be good for all of them to get away from the crowds for a while. The disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, rowed away from the shore while Jesus, Christ the Lord, went to the front of the boat, creek, and lay down on a cushion. The waves lapped gently against the side of the boat, creek, lulling Jesus, Christ the Lord, into a peaceful sleep. But suddenly a wind began to blow dark clouds across the sky. The waves weren't so gentle anymore. The little boat, creak, began to pitch and rock. The disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, began to get a little worried. But Jesus, Christ the Lord, still lay sleeping in the front of the boat. Creak. The wind grew stronger still. The spray from the waves got the disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all wet. This was getting to be a bad storm. But Jesus, Christ the Lord, still lay sleeping in the front of the boat. Creak. By the time the fishing boat, creak, reached the center of the lake, the wind had turned into an angry gale that whipped the waves so high that they washed right over the boat. Creak. The disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, were terrified. They thought they might drown. But Jesus, Christ the Lord, still lay sleeping in the front of the boat. Creak. Finally, someone shook Jesus, Christ the Lord. Master, he cried, don't you care if we drown? Jesus, Christ the Lord, looked around. He listened to the howling wind. He felt the cold spray stinging as the waves crashed over the little boat. Creak. Jesus Christ the Lord saw the fear in the faces of his disciples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then Jesus, Christ the Lord, stood, stretched out his arms to the wind and the waves, and commanded, peace, be still. And all at once the wind died down and the waves became completely calm. Then he asked the disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, why are you so afraid? Where is your faith? Jesus, Christ the Lord, showed his power over the wind and the waves that day on the Sea of Galilee, just as he cared for his disciples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That day in the little storm-tossed boat, creak, he will care for you and me. All right. Wow. Jesus's power calmed the fears of his friends, and he calmed the storm. When our fears feel like a swirling storm inside of us, we can turn to Jesus. Jesus's power will calm our fears. And now I want to share another story with you about overcoming fear.
This is Jabari Jumps by Gia Cornwell, 2019 Indiana Early Literacy Firefly Award nominee. I'm jumping off the diving board today, Jabari told his dad. Really? Said his dad. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari, so I'm not scared at all. Jabari watched the other kids climb the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board, as big as tiny bugs. Then they stood at the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees and sprang up, up, up. And then they dove down, down, down. Splash. Looks easy, said Jabari. But when his dad squeezed his hand, Jabari squeezed back. Jabari stood at the bottom of the ladder. He looked up. You can go before me if you want, he told the kid behind him. I need to think about what kind of special jump I'm going to do. Jabari thought and thought. Jabari started to climb, up and up. This ladder is very tall, he thought. Are you okay? Called his dad. I'm just a little tired, said Jabari. Maybe you should climb down and take a tiny rest, said his dad. A tiny rest sounded like a good idea. When he got to the bottom, Jabari remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he said to his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. I think tomorrow might be a better day for jumping, Jabari said. They looked up at the diving board together. It's okay to feel a little scared, said his dad. Sometimes, if I feel a little scared, I take a deep breath and tell myself I am ready. And you know what? Sometimes it stops feeling scary and feels a little like a surprise. Jabari loved surprises. Jabari took a deep breath and felt it fill his body from the ends of his hair right down to the tips of his toes. Jabari looked up. He began to climb, up and up and up and up until he got to the top. Jabari stood up straight. He walked all the way to the end of the board. His toes curled around the rough edge. Jabari looked out as far as he could see. He felt like he was ready. I love surprises, he whispered. He took a deep breath and spread his arms and bent his knees. Then he sprang up off the board, flying. Jabari hit the water with a splash. Down, down, down he went. And then back up. Whoosh! Jabari, you did it, said his dad. I did it, said Jabari. I'm a great jumper. And you know what? What? Said his dad. Surprise double backflip is next.
Okay. Now, let's think about it for a while. Why did Jabari let the other kids in line go ahead of him? What do you think? Well, maybe, do you think Jabari was too afraid to jump? Possibly so, right? Do you ever feel scared when you try something new? I sure know I do. And as a matter of fact, I had a moment in my life when I was little, just like Jabari. But I was a lot older than Jabari was. When I was just finishing the 4th grade, we moved to a neighborhood, and our neighborhood pool had a high dive, just like the one Jabari went on. It was the first time I'd ever been on a high dive. I'd known how to swim since probably I was 5 years old. But I went up the high dive and up the ladder. I didn't let people go in front of me like Jabari did. I just went right up the ladder, but then when I got to the top and saw how high it was, I was so scared. But you know what I was more scared of? I was more scared of climbing back down the ladder, afraid that I would fall. So my only choice was to jump. And actually, whenever I jumped, I kind of felt the same way Jabari did. The way that the author has drawn those pictures and the splash when he hits the bottom and the down, down, down. I can so vividly remember that from when I was in the 4th grade. So I know exactly how he felt, right up there on the top. Oh, me. So, why was Jabari's dad so proud of him at the end of the book? What do you think? Do you think his dad was super proud of him because he had overcome his fear and he had done something that even though he was a little bit scared of, he was able to find the courage to do it? Now think to yourself of a time when you felt anxious or nervous. And now think of what happened that made you feel more comfortable. Now let's think back to our Bible story of Jesus and the disciples out on the boat in the middle of the storm. You know, in the Bible story, Jesus's friends didn't push him away. As a matter of fact, it was exactly the opposite. They went to find Jesus and wake him up with their fears and tell him that they needed his help. They were so scared that they needed him. Well, you know, sometimes when everything around us is scary or everything seems to be going wrong, it's hard for us to see how things will ever get any better. We can only see what our fear is causing us to see. And sometimes we can't see the way forward. So this Bible story, Jesus tells his disciples not to be afraid. He tells them that God is always with them, and especially in difficult times. And you know, it's just the same for us today. We don't have to be afraid of anything, and we know that God is always with us. Let's think about how we can get closer to Jesus when we're afraid about the coronavirus or everything else that's going on in the world right now. You know, anytime that we're afraid, we can always call on Jesus for help, just like the disciples did, because Jesus's power will give us courage that will calm our fears. So now we're at the time in our lesson that you'll need your supplies. Either your Legos or your Play-Doh or your paper and your pen or crayons. So we want to talk about and think about what stood out to you from the lesson today. So get your materials ready, and I want you to use this time to quietly draw something or to build something that stands out from our lesson today. I'm going to play some nice quiet music, and during this time I want you to have some thoughtful, quiet reflection and respond to what it is that God has revealed to you today. What have you learned from this lesson? Okay. I hope you've had some time to make something, create something that stands out to you, that God has put on your heart from today's lesson. I'll show you what I made if you can see it. See if I can get a good picture of it right here. So I made some waves. You see? I made the Sea of Galilee with the waves, all kinds of rough waves, to remind me that when things are rough and unsettled and I'm afraid, that I know that all I have to do is ask for Jesus's power to help give me courage, take away my fear, and calm the rough seas. Now, it's time for our closing prayer. So as we get ready to pray, I want you to think of someone who helps you when you're scared or afraid. Might be a family member, parent, grandparent, an older sibling, or it might be a special friend. And when I pause in my prayer, I want you to insert their name. You can say their name out loud, or you can say it in your heart, because God will be able to hear and know who it is you're praying for. Okay, will you pray with me? Dear God, we thank you for our special friend's name. We're thankful that when we feel scared, they help us. Sometimes we experience rough seas and life isn't always what we expect. Comfort us, protect us, love us, and hold us so we won't be afraid. Lift us up when we fall and walk with us all the days of our lives. Amen. I'm so happy you were here today for our first Sunday school lesson. And be sure to share your drawing or your creation that you made with your parents and tell them about it. Tell them what you learned today. Tell them that you learned that Jesus has the power, gives us courage to take away all our fears. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll have another lesson next week, and I hope to see you then. But remember, you can always ask Jesus to give you courage to calm your fears, because he's always there and he's always waiting, and all we have to do is ask. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.